Hello, my dear friends. This is Rabbi Aharon Dobinsky coming to you today from the holy city of Jerusalem, Israel. I have a story for you today. So it's going to be really easy. I keep talking to you about Mashiach and when will Mashiach come and how to find a redemption. You own your personal redemptions. And I think maybe what my mistake is I skipped some vital points. And I think these points could be brought up in the following story. It's a story based on a story by the Chofetz Chaim. So I'm going to take a liberty of changing a few things to make it my own a little bit. So here's a story, and I hope you enjoy it. If you've heard it before, enjoy it again, I hope, by the way I tell it to you. And if not, think about what I'm talking about. It seems there was this couple living in a European country, and they were very poor. And the poor man worked as hard as he knew how, and it was all he could do to keep food on the table. And he and his wife talked about it, and they didn't know what to do. One day, somebody was passing through, told them about a strange island far away. You could only get there by boat, on which the streets were full of diamonds, and rubies, and sapphires, and all sorts of precious gems, to the point that you can't even imagine how much they had there. And they talked amongst themselves. They decided as little as they were trying to get by on, they were going to try and get by on a little bit less so they could put money aside so this man could travel to this place. So that's what they did. They put money aside, they put money aside, and they put money aside. And finally, they had the fare for which he needed to get to pay to the ship to get to this island. So he goes to the ship, he gets on board, sails for what seemed like forever to him. And finally, he hears them crying that their land is in sight and they're going to land. They're going to come into harbor. So they get to harbor. It was all he could do to wait and see what was waiting for him when he got off the ship. So he jumped off the ship and he ran down. And he was on the beach and he looked around him and sure enough, diamonds, sapphires, rubies, emeralds for as far as the eye could see, all you could want. And he starts putting them in his pocket, and he's putting them in his backpack, and he's putting them in everything he's got so that he can take as much home as possible. And he finally gets done. He says, now's a good time. And he goes back to the dock where he went to get them when he got off the ship and realizes the ship is left. So he asked somebody, when will the next ship be coming in? And people told him about 7 years. They only come in once every 7 years. 7 years? What am I supposed to do? Well, like everybody else does, make a living and try to make it go. So the man goes to a restaurant because he's hungry by now, and he orders a very nice meal, figuring he's got pockets full of precious gems. So the meal's over, he gets a check, he takes out one of his little stones and puts it on the table. And the owner of the restaurant walks up and very politely says to him, "What, are you crazy? What am I going to do with that? They're all over the place here. They don't mean anything. They're not worth anything here. What are you going to do? How are you going to pay me?" The guy says, I don't know. I assumed, these are worth so much. The guy says, yeah, there's so much other places. Here, they're everywhere. We don't need them. Therefore, they're not worth anything. He says, well, what am I going to do for money? And the man says to him, you have a trade. Is there anything you can do? I'm a candle maker. I make candles. And the guy says, what a fantastic coincidence because we don't have a candle maker here. And we need a candle maker in this town. You could be a candle maker and you could make a lot of money and you could pay me and whatever else. I'll hold off until you get some money coming in. So the guy goes and he sets up shop very, very modestly and he becomes a candle maker. Very, very modestly, only lasted for a little while. Because soon everybody was coming to him, buying his candles. He was so successful, he couldn't believe it. He never had this much success in his entire life. And what he'd do is the more money would come in, the more inventory he'd go and buy, bring more wax in, more wicks in, more candles. One day, all of a sudden, he remembers 7 years. 7 years. It's time for me to go catch the ship back to where I live. So he takes his sack and he packs and he runs back to the ship. And he goes to the ship, and the ship goes all the way back to where he lives. And his wife, after 7 years, is just overjoyed to see him. And Moishelah, what have you brought back for me? Let's see all those diamonds. He says, diamonds. I got something even better. What the hell is even better? Take a look. So she opens up his pack, and it's full of wax. Why was it full of wax? Well, you see, while he was there, wax is what made him successful. Wax is what made him rich. And wax is what the thing was that was so very imperative for him to survive. So he brought as much of it back as he could. Unfortunately, wax may be very well thought of over there where you can make candles with it and sell to people who don't have any. But when you get to home where he is, wax had very, very little value. She was absolutely heartbroken. All these years you've been gone and you come back with this? This is what you come back with? Well, it's how a lot of us are right here. You see, Rabbi Chaim was telling the story to try to get us to understand. We come to this world, and I've talked to you about some of these things before. We come here for a reason. For one thing, we come because we have tikkunim. We have corrections we have to make. We've made them in other lifetimes, but not enough apparently, so we had to come back to finish the job. I'm always amused when somebody says to me, Rabbi, you know, I'm a very old soul. They think, when I hear this, that this is what I'm thinking is, oh, wow, that's impressive. That's very impressive. What am I really thinking? I'm really thinking, perhaps you're a slow learner. Because you see, if you make your corrections, you don't have to come back. You go to a world which is, I promise you, without having ever been there, far better than what we have right here. Far better than the wars and the poverty and scratching for a living and everything else that goes along with it. It's a great place to be. Why would you want to come back here if you could be there? And yes, they're your relatives, they're the people who care about you, but you know something, they will go on and they will live a life just like you lived a life, and they'll move forward. But there's another thing that we came here for. What is it? I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I can't tell you in your case, because I can't tell you really in my case. I have a good idea in my case, but I'm not sure. We come here because Hashem has assigned us a task, a special task, a task that only I can do, a task that only you can do, a task that only each one of us can do. And out of the almost 8 billion people on the face of the planet Earth, we're the only ones who can accomplish the task we've been assigned to. So the problem is, we come here and we don't remember this. We get involved in watching TV, playing music, following the news, doing all the things we do in daily life, driving, traveling, keeping very busy, keeping very busy. So busy, in fact, that sometimes we don't even think about why are we here. Most people, there's a lot of people who will ask you, why am I here? And they go to think about it. Because really, when it comes right down to it, the only reason, and the only person who knows why each one of us is here is us, ourselves. We're the only one who knows. It's in there somewhere. And I heard somebody say this the other day, and I'm going to borrow it. He said, you know, the problem with most people is their brain is like a filing cabinet. Just throw stuff in there. And it's not organized. If you organize it, you could find things. So maybe the idea is to meditate a little bit. Maybe the idea is to slow down a little bit, to take our mind off the distractions. You know, there's two voices in our head going all the time. There's the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Tov. Yetzer Hara is the evil inclination. The Yetzer Tov is a good inclination. The problem is, the Yetzer Hara is very loud and talks all the time and tries to keep your attention all the time, and you're bored and you shouldn't be doing this. Why can't I do that? How come I don't have this? How come I don't have that? A lifetime of looking for what we're missing as opposed to being grateful for all that we have. So we have to reach up and turn off the very loud Yetzer Hara and turn up the Yetzer Tov, the good inclination, so we can hear the things we're supposed to hear, so we can do the things we're supposed to do, so we can see the things we're supposed to see. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you this. There was a happy ending in that story, even though it didn't sound happy. Because when the wife went to clean the man's clothes, and she took his pants and she put them in the wash, a bunch of gems fell out of his pocket, enough to give them a nice, comfortable life for the rest of their lives. See, even if you get close to finding out what it is you're here for, you're rewarded for it. That should be enough to make any one of us want to do it. Just the fact that, first of all, we know why we're here. Do you know how many people live and, that are born, they live, and they die, and they have no idea why they were even here in the first place? That's very sad. Don't you want to know why you're here? Don't you want to know what you're supposed to do? If it wasn't very special, would Hashem have given it to you to do? So let's remember this, my friends. We're here for a reason. We have changes to make. In each lifetime, if we do not make these changes, we have to come back the next lifetime to try to make up for what we didn't do in the past lifetime. Let's reach up and turn off the Yetzer Hara, turn it way down at least, and turn up the Yetzer Tov, so that we can be concentrating on what's good, what's right, what's best for us, for our people closest to us, and for the world in general. Be well, my friends. Have a great, great, great week ahead now that we're out of Tisha B'Av, and we can look forward to Rosh Hashanah. We have, 6 weeks in order to get our lives together a little bit more. If nothing else, let's take these 6 weeks to think, to try to get an idea. What are we here for? What do we need to change? What do we need to fix? And what is that one special thing, at least, our set us here for? Be well, my friends. God bless. All the best.